is at times despicably evil. The heart, the seat of our affection, deep within us, can be riddled with things that are against God, despicable things. And that's part of why we see the world kind of like it is today. So narcissism is something that we need to avoid like the plague. I remember hearing a story about Albert Schweitzer, and he's building the hospital at Lambarene in Africa. And anyway, he was sweating and he was nailing nails. And this is an amazing guy who was very intelligent, very gifted, and was more than a medical doctor. But anyway, a black man in a big white suit came along, and he said, "Come over, throw off your coat and come up here and help me. Put this whatever they're doing. They're probably they're doing sheetrock, probably, I think. Anyway, whatever they were doing, putting boards up or whatever, he said, "Come up and help me." He says, "Well, I don't do that kind of work. I'm an educated man." And Schweitzer, according to a story I had read, said, "I had once aspired to be an educated man too." And he decided to be a Christian man, doing things for God and for goodness. And he had, I think, 3 earned doctorates, if my memory is right.
Wow.
In medicine and music and theology. So the reality is we need to sometimes take the humble approach and stop looking at everything that we've accomplished and what the world revolves around me and my concerns, and start to look at the world and say, no, the world revolves around God. That's the hub it revolves around. 2 Timothy 3 says, "In the last days, difficult times will come." This is verse 1 and following. "Men will be lovers of what? Themselves. They'll be lovers of money. They'll be boastful. They'll be arrogant. They'll be revilers. They'll be disobedient to parents." Wow, does this sound contemporary? "Ungrateful, unholy, unloving, irreconcilable, malicious gossips, without self-control, brutal, haters of good, treacherous, reckless, conceited, lovers of pleasure more than lovers of God. And they are holding, by the way, to a form of godliness, although they have denied His power. Avoid such as these." So God's Word itself talks about narcissism. To people would say again about, well, what about loving myself? Isn't that the commandment? I'd say, no, there's only 2. Yeshua didn't say a third one is also love yourself as you love yourself or something. I don't know, whatever. The meaning of agapo love, God's highest form of love, is sacrifice of oneself in the service of someone you love and care for. So this is great in marriage, because marriage is not about what I'm going to get out of it. That's the contemporary thing. I'm looking for, the right bachelor. And so it has to be the perfect, or bachelorette or whatever, to be fair. And the reality is not so much what you're looking for and you're choosing. It's rather, what are your behaviors and how are you serving others? And in the giving of yourself and the serving of others, and denying yourself and taking up your cross and following Yeshua, we can become a new creation, and we can get out of this product of the fall that focuses on me. I used to think that, that all these things are learned. I'm almost convinced they're inbred, because little children, some of the first things they learn, at least in my house, they did, is mine, this is mine. I don't want to share this with someone else. It's mio. And no, we get out of that. Narcissism talks about the love of the self, and we talk about the love of God shed abroad in our hearts in Messiah Yeshua. So everybody that knows this knows love is an amazing thing. The greatest of these is love, chapter 13 of 1 Corinthians. It's a great relief to turn away from this preoccupation with self and self-interest, to love God with all our being, to love our neighbor as we love ourselves, to do what God intends for His congregation and community. Be concerned not about your own comfort, but be welcoming to others, that they could come to Messiah and come into the fold and worship alongside a loving, serving community. So here's how we end. We end all of these thoughts with the idea that these are great challenges that we've talked about, all these isms, relativism, and subjectivism. The idea of pluralism, my mind skipped the beat, and materialism, and this narcissism. But there's an antidote to all these in the face of these. So I'm telling you things you shouldn't do, but what we should do is against this challenge of relativism, we should come to the conclusion we're a community that wants to be obedient to God and His Word, and we will obey. With the challenge of this relativism, we can stand up and say, as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. With pluralism, we say we're a community that's going to stand for truth. So if even in a city council with higher up mayors and it could be higher up disagree with some of these things, we have the right and the responsibility to also voice our opinion and to be able to say that this is, that's why we can't be, in a sense, be muzzled and be fined if we disagree with a certain minority group in the city that maybe has another agenda. God help us. So we stand for truth in our community. What about the challenge of materialism? We become a community of trust in God to provide for our needs. A trusting community that maybe simplicity may help us a bit to stop having so much preoccupation with stuff and start seeking God and His goodness over and above all, and seeking to serve others, which of course the antidote to the problem of narcissism is true biblical love. It's not love until you do it. Love is in doing.